Tonight, you are invited somewhere quiet, somewhere old and steady, where the sea speaks in low, familiar rhythms, and the rain knows how to fall without asking anything of you. There is a light on the coast tonight, not a hurried light, not a warning, a patient one. In this story, you will arrive slowly, warm and well-wrapped, guided by lantern glow and careful footsteps. You will listen to a lighthouse keeper who has learned how to keep watch without keeping worry. Nothing here needs your effort. Nothing here needs to be solved. The light will turn, the night will be held, and you are safe to rest. Settle in, let your breathing soften. When you're ready, the story will begin. The lighthouse that never slept alone. You arrive long after sunset. The carriage has been moving slowly for some time now. Wheels turning through damp earth, leather straps creaking softly with each measured step of the horse. Rain has begun to fall, not in sheets, not with urgency, but steadily, thoughtfully, as though the night itself has decided to settle in. The carriage is horse-drawn, old and well-built, made for endurance rather than speed. Its body is painted a deep, weathered green, the color softened by salt air and years of careful maintenance. Brass fittings catch the lantern light in quiet flashes, never bright, never sharp. The glass in the windows is slightly rippled, bending the world outside into gentle curves. Two horses pull the carriage. Both are large and calm, their coats darkened by rain, one a deep bay brown, the other nearly black. Water beads along their flanks and gathers in their manes, tracing slow paths downward. Their harnesses are thick leather, dark and well-oiled, stitched with care. The horses stand close together, shoulders aligned, sharing warmth and familiarity. These horses know this road. They know the sound of the sea before it is seen. They know when the journey is nearly done. The lantern fixed to the front of the carriage casts a warm, circular glow on the road ahead. Everything beyond it softens into shadow. Tall grasses bending under rain, low stone markers blurred with moss, the faint, silvery presence of the sea somewhere to your left. The road curves gently now, and the sound of water becomes more distinct waves folding into stone far below. Inside the carriage, you are warm. Your coat is heavy wool, finely woven, meant to last a lifetime rather than a season. It settles around you with reassuring weight. It seems strong, its lining soft from wear. Beneath it, layered garments hold warmth close, thick cloth, careful stitching, fabric chosen for comfort as much as durability. Your gloves are supple leather, lined, worn smooth by years of use. Your boots are sturdy and dry, built for stone floors, uneven ground, and long staircases. A blanket rests across your knees, woven tightly, smelling faintly of clean linen and smoke from an old hearth. It has been folded many times, carried on many nights like this one. The ride has drawn your thoughts inward, not sleepy yet, but unguarded. The carriage slows. The horses ease their pace without instruction, hooves finding firmer stone beneath the wheels. The straps settle. The wheels turn once more, then stop with gentle finality, as though the journey itself has known where it would end. The horse exhales, steam lifting briefly into the lantern light. The driver steps down and opens the door. Rain murmurs against the roof. Before you step out, you notice something unexpected. The feeling of being expected. Not watched, not evaluated. Expected the way a lamp is lit before nightfall. Not because someone must arrive, but because someone might. You step down carefully. The stone beneath your boots is worn smooth by time and weather, rounded at the edges, damp but sure. Rain cools the air around you, but your body remains comfortably warm. Ahead, the lighthouse rises, pale, steady, quietly immense. It stands taller than it appears from a distance, its base broad and grounded, its body narrowing gradually as it climbs. The stone blocks are large and carefully fitted, their surfaces softened by wind and salt. Rain traces familiar paths down its sides, following grooves etched over decades, perhaps centuries. The tower does not shine. It absorbs the night gently, reflecting only what it must. It stands rooted in rock above the sea, unadorned, purposeful, calm. A structure shaped by necessity rather than pride. A lantern approaches from the path. Its glow is softer than the carriage lamp, warmer, closer to firelight. The man who carries it walks without haste. His coat is dark and heavy, brushed smooth by years of wear. A scarf is tucked neatly at his throat. His boots make no careless sound against the stone, as though he knows the tower listens. "Good evening," he says. His voice is calm, neither loud nor hushed. It does not echo, it settles. "I'm glad you've arrived before the rain deepens." He takes your bag with an ease that suggests this is not his first arrival of the night, nor his last. As you walk together toward the tower, rain gathers more confidently, tapping against stone and darkening the path. The keeper lifts the lantern slightly, its light steady, illuminating the curve of the walls and the heavy wooden door ahead. "People often imagine this place as lonely," he says, lifting the lantern so the light falls on the stone path. But it has never been that way. The lighthouse door opens with a low, rounded sound, wood meeting wood. Its thickness is immediately apparent, planks reinforced with iron bands, hinges worn smooth by use. When it closes behind you, the wind softens at once, as though the walls have folded the night outside and set it gently aside. Inside, the air is cool, but not cold. It smells of oil and stone, of rope kept dry, of lamps tended faithfully. The walls curve inward, thick and pale, catching the lantern light and softening it. The sound inside is different, quieter, rounded, held. Even the rain sounds distant now, filtered through stone and glass. This tower, the keeper says, was built to hold more than light. He leads you not upward, but into a small sitting room near the base. The room feels carved out of the tower itself, its ceiling low and gently curved. Rain streaks the tall windows. Beyond them, the sea appears in fragments, dark water, catching faint reflections, white edges of waves forming and dissolving against the rocks below. Occasionally, a surge sends a deeper sound upward, a reminder of the vastness held at bay. A fire rests low in the hearth, embers glowing quietly. The stone around it is darkened from years of warmth. Near it stands an overstuffed chair, wide, deep, upholstered in dark, textured fabric. Its arms are rounded and worn smooth. The cushion bears the subtle impression of those who have rested here before, shaped by bodies that trusted it completely. The keeper sets your bag down and drapes a heavy wool blanket over the chair. "You'll want this later," he says, not asking. He pours a warm drink from a kettle kept near the fire, something mild and grounding, and places it into your hands. The mug is solid, dulled by years of use. Heat spreads through your gloves, into your palms, steady and reassuring. "You won't sleep yet," he adds, with a faint smile. "But you will." Instead of climbing the tower, the keeper sits on a low stool near the fire. "Before I show you the light," he says, "you should know why it turns the way it does." You settle into the chair. The cushion yields slowly, fully, supporting your back and shoulders. The blanket rests across your shoulders, its weight reassuring. Rain taps against the glass. The fire shifts softly, a log settling with a quiet sigh. "When this lighthouse was first built," he says, "the light did not turn. It burned steady, constant, unmoving. The builders believed that certainty meant safety." He stirs the embers gently with a poker, sparks lifting briefly, then settling back into glow. But the sea disagreed. He tells you how ships mistook the fixed light for stars, how captains trusted it too long, how nights ended closer to shore than intended, not out of recklessness, but fatigue. "It wasn't until a keeper's daughter," he says, "that someone thought to change it." He pauses here, letting the rain fill the space, letting the fire breathe. "She spent her days watching the horizon," he continues. "Not just the ships, the people watching them. She noticed how the eye seeks movement when tired, how rhythm steadies fear. So she built the turning mechanism herself," he says, "out of patience, out of listening. And that," he says, "is why the light turns." He stands. "Come," he says, "I'll show you." The spiral stair curves upward, stone worn smooth at the center, edges softened by countless careful steps. The railing is cool beneath your hand, metal polished dull by touch. The keeper climbs slowly, lantern in hand, matching your pace without comment. At a narrow window midway up, he stops. The window is deep set, its sill wide and cool. From here, the sea feels closer, louder, though still softened by rain. "Listen," he says. Through the thick glass, the sea sounds deeper here. Rain softens each wave, rounding every sound, turning force into rhythm. "Every sound you hear," he says, "has been heard before. That's what makes it safe." At the lantern room, the ceiling rises, glass panes curving around the space. The great lens gleams softly even before the flame is lit, its facets catching lantern light in quiet halos. He checks the oil, trims the wick, polishes the glass with careful hands. When the flame is lit, the light blooms warm and sure. The beam begins its slow turning. Light, shadow, light again. The motion is deliberate, unhurried, the mechanism humming softly. A sound like breath moving through gears. People think the light exists for ships, he says, but that's only half of it. The other half is for those inside. You descend again. The stair seems easier now, familiar. The chair waits below, exactly where it should be. The rain has settled into a steady rhythm now, layering sound upon sound, rain, sea, fire, the distant horn. The lighthouse itself seems to hold these sounds, blending them into something continuous and calm. The keeper passes quietly through the room, tending small things, adjusting the lamp, checking the fire, ensuring the door is secure. "I'll tend the light," he says. "You may rest." You hear his footsteps fade upward, absorbed by stone. The lighthouse breathes around you. Stone releases warmth. The light turns faithfully above. The blanket warms you. The chair holds you. The lighthouse has never slept alone. And tonight, neither do you. You drift gently, safely, into sleep while the light turns on. Sleep does not take you all at once. It arrives in layers. At first, you are still aware of the chair beneath you, its deep arms holding your weight, the blanket resting across your chest. The fire murmurs quietly, embers settling. Rain continues its patient tapping at the windows, each drop distinct, each one fatting into the next. Above you, the light turns. You do not see it directly from where you rest, but you sense it. As the beam passes the tall windows, the glass brightens briefly, not sharply, not suddenly, but as if the night itself inhales light and then releases it again. Shadows shift along the curved stone walls. The ceiling glows faintly, then dims. Light, shadow, light again. Your breathing begins to follow that rhythm without effort. Somewhere above, footsteps sound again. Not hurried, not loud, measured. The keeper's steps move down the spiral stair, softer now than before, as though even the stone has learned not to disturb sleep. You do not open your eyes. You do not need to. He speaks, and you realize dimly that he is speaking to the night, not directly to you. "There is another story," he says. His voice is lower now, slower, shaped for listening ears and sleeping minds. They don't always tell it, but the tower remembers. As he speaks, the light passes the windows again, and this time it feels different. The glass does not merely brighten, it deepens, as though the beam carries images with it. You half dream. You see the lighthouse not as it is now, but as it once was, stone newly set, edges sharper, the sea louder, closer. You feel wind without cold, rain without weight. tower is both taller and smaller, depending on how you look at it. The daughter did not leave, the keeper continues. Not when her work was done. The fire shifts softly. She stayed through storms that bent ships in half, through nights when the fog pressed so close it felt like breath against the glass. As the light passes again, the rain on the windows transforms, each drop becoming a tiny lens, bending the beam into soft halos. The room fills with moving shapes, circles of gold drifting across stone, sliding over the chair, the floor, your folded hands. You feel as though you are underwater, though you breathe easily. She learned, the keeper says, that the light does more than guide. Your mind drifts, but his voice remains, an anchor you do not have to hold. She learned that people sleep better when something keeps watch. The beam passes again. This time, the shadows stretch longer, slower. The stone walls seem to breathe outward, then settle back. The tower feels vast, not in height, but in depth, as though it contains more space inside than it should. You see, in dream fragments, figures resting where you rest now. A sailor with salt still in his hair, asleep in the chair after a narrow crossing. A woman waiting for dawn, her head bowed, hands folded, trusting the light to outlast her fear. A child curled beneath a blanket, listening to stories told softly, so the sea would not hear worry. They slept, the keeper says, because the light did not. His footsteps move closer, then stop. You sense him standing near the window now, watching the beam pass, watching the rain glow and fade. The daughter understood something else too, he says, that stories turn the way the light does. As he speaks, your thoughts begin to move in gentle circles. Images return, altered slightly each time. The carriage road looping back on itself, the horses breathing steam that turns into fog, the spiral stair becoming endless and comforting rather than tiring. Each telling, he continues, reaches a little farther. The beam sweeps again. This time, the light feels warm against your closed eyelids, though you know it does not touch you directly. It feels like memory rather than brightness, like recognition. She told stories while tending the lamp, the keeper says, not to be heard, but to be held. The rain slows, or perhaps your mind slows first. Drops lengthen, spaces widen, time loosens its grip. You are aware now only of rhythm, light turning, rain breathing, fire settling, voice unfolding. She learned, the keeper says gently, that no one truly rests alone. In a place like this, the light passes once more, and this time the windows do not glow, they soften. The outside world blurs completely, sea and sky blending into one continuous, moving dark. You feel yourself sinking, not downward, but inward. The keeper's voice becomes part of the room, part of the stone, part of the turning. When the light turns, he says, it is telling the same story again. Your thoughts drift away from words now. Images arrive without edges. The lighthouse stands, but it is also a heart. The beam sweeps, but it is also breath. The rain falls, but it is also time passing gently enough not to hurt. The keeper's footsteps fade upward again, or perhaps they never moved at all. "I'll keep watch," he says, very softly. "You may dream." The light turns, and this time you do not follow it. You rest deeply, safely, held by stone and story and steady care. The lighthouse does not sleep, but you do, and the light continues, turning through rain and fog and memory, never alone, never leaving anyone behind.